Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Bud Light. Bud Light bartenders are discussing Bud Light's destroyed sales nationwide. In this social media group on Reddit, they're trying to figure out what to say when customers ask them, how are Bud Light sales going? There are over 150 responses. We're not going to cover all the responses. Some of them are fascinating though, and it's interesting just to see, do you not really have a straightforward answer to this question? In some cases, they don't. In fact, in almost all cases, they don't have a straightforward answer. And a lot of these woke bartenders are extremely angry they're even being asked. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. This is coming from Reddit's Server Life group. And what Reddit is it's a place for communities where people can create a community, comment on a subject that relates to them. And it is kind of interesting. Sometimes you get some good insight checking these things out. We've covered this for Target before, and we covered something similar for Bud Light before in what's called their bartenders group, where they were just asking each other, hey, how bad are Bud Light sales there where you are? And they commented back and forth. It was very interesting. And that's this video I'm featuring here. I'll link to this video so you can check this one out too. I just found it fascinating. This is from Server Life though. The question here is not how bad are your sales for Bud Light. They're bad everywhere. In some places, they are completely destroyed. But this is kind of dealing with the aftermath. One server posts the question hoping for some insight. How do you respond when a customer asks how the Bud Light sales are? I work in a pretty red area, politics-wise, so I have trouble with this, especially knowing my answer will likely affect my tips. And here's some responses. Quote, I'm not keeping track, sorry. So that's not a true response necessarily. That's just something you can say to try to not get in trouble with your customer. Someone else, quote, you think they let me see the numbers? Here's someone else who's offended, Steve X, saying, instead of saying I'm not keeping track, sorry, just say I'm not keeping track. There's some people that get really angry about this. And if they're woke people, they've noticed how bad it is and they've realized this is something that woke people can't control. If customers don't like it, if they're not comfortable with it, they're not going to buy it. And money does talk. Another person says, I've got this question a few times now. I always say something like, same as always, I guess. Why do you ask? They always get really squirmy trying to explain why, and I like to make it as awkward as possible while pretending to just be friendly and clueless. This is my go-to, play dumb and make them explain their ignorance. That's generally a good way to handle any people saying something cringe. Make them explain their bigotry by acting oblivious and watch them twist. Another person, I've been working too long to care, so I usually say something like, oh, sales have been crazy. We actually just ran out the other day, or something like that. I also work in a red area, but at this point, I'm a little less careful about what I say. If you want to stay neutral, just say, oh, I wouldn't know. I don't keep track. Another person, F them if they're so fragile that they can't handle a company supporting LGBT rights. You don't want them as a customer to begin with. And of course, you probably don't want their tips either. Another person, ask them what the F they're talking about, then play completely stupid while they're explaining. Those types of people probably aren't tipping well, if at all anyway. Another person says, I would be genuinely confused. People think Bud Light is gay? Another person says, quote, higher than ever. This is a safe space. Thank you for being an ally. What size would you like? Thank you for being an ally. That would not get you a tip. Another person says, don't forget to include your pronouns, the pronouns of the food preparer, because chef is rooted in colonialism and sexism. Here's someone that gets really upset. The smirk that people make when they ask this question drives me crazy. I was getting it 3 to 5 times per shift for a while, but it's died down a bit now. I change my response depending on the customer. One guy that always drank Bud Light asked and said he wanted a Bud. I still gave him a Bud Light and told him to grow up. What's the difference in Bud versus Bud Light as far as his whole, quote, I don't drink Bud Light anymore stance? The same company is getting the sale. He was pissed and I told him to be happy I didn't draw a rainbow on his forehead. I don't know who would take that from the server, but apparently this guy would. If some people that just want to talk about the economics of it, I'll be honest. Yeah, we used to sell a case a day now. It's a case a week. Others I just won't engage if I think it'll turn into a thing. I'm not at work to talk politics. A response to the smirk makes me want to put them in their place by telling them that Bud Light thought their customer base was enlightened, empathic people, but I guess they were wrong. Nobody is trying to be deemed as empathic and enlightened by some multi-billion-dollar company that admits it's planting the seeds of inclusion, if you know the history, especially what they admitted in the Guardian article. Here's somebody with a good attitude. Oh my God, somebody asked me this like a month ago. And I looked at her like, what the F does it matter to you? I said, I don't know. I'm not the bartender nor the manager to keep track of that. LOL. What the F is wrong with people? Here's a suggestion. Quote, I hated Bud Light before it was cool, bro, but trans rights are human rights if that's what you're asking. Doesn't seem like that's what they're asking. The people are asking because they're curious. This is a huge trend, and it happened really suddenly and all over the country, the United States. If you're a bartender, you know things because you know what people are asking for and what they're not asking for. It's a natural curiosity to ask. From Electronic Theme 225, I live in a very red state, but am from a northern state that is very blue. I tell them that sales are the same, if not up. One of the few ways I enjoy subtly and non-argumentatively making the angry old white men upset. You do get some racial responses on here. Another comment, LOL, tell them the truth, down about 40 to 60%. That's what sales on Bud Light are like right now at my old restaurant. Servers get really upset over this. I had two guys the other day ask them what they wanted, and they said not Bud Light. It just annoyed me, so I told them I was closing the bar and moved them to a table, then sat at the bar they were sitting at. Here's a sensible person responding. Not a server, but this came up on a feed and serious question. Why not be fake, as I assume you all are, like 75% of the time anyway, not in a bad way, in a hood at job way. I had a person that was working for a company I get a lot of work from tell me, God bless Donald Trump. In response to being busy at work, without hesitation, I said, you know it. I effing hate Trump, but so what? If that's what he wants to hear and my life in that job can be easier if he thinks I'm on his side, who cares? I would answer that with, quote, oh, I'm sure I don't need to even tell you how much it fell off, just because that is what they want to hear and will tip in kind. Hell, I would ham it up and start talking as well. So my question is, why not fake it for the tips the same as faking smiles and laughs at terrible jokes? Women servers here have to deal with just the worst sexual harassment, flirting from time to time, and play along within reason for the tip at the end. This seems no different. You get a response. I don't agree. Politics don't belong in the bar. It's very easy to shut that crap down. It's one thing to fake smile, but I'm not going to fake my entire personality and identity for $1. Also, women should not have to deal with being sexually harassed at work, and I certainly don't play along when they're doing it. I also shut that down. Tips aren't worth losing my dignity. It's worth losing your dignity to have to admit, yes, of course, sales are destroyed because of this stupid promotion. And sure, politics never belonged in a bar, which is why political promotions like the Dylan Mulvaney inclusive promotion had no business mixing with Bud Light. So amazingly, many servers have no idea what to say and get very upset if you ask them just simply, how are the Bud Light sales going? They don't seem to have a prepared response. I'm sure a couple of them do, but I was really surprised to see not all of these guys do, and some of them get very, very angry. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.